What was ruined by rich people? Concerts. You can't even buy a beer at one for what a general admission ticket used to cost, and people still pay for it. I stopped drinking at shows because of it. I have a couple beers in the parking lot, sip on a bottle of water in the show, and not go stand in the bathroom line every 45 miles. Saves me a ton of money too. There used to be a really nice big park in the center of the city where I live. Everyone would go there. It was a nice open space. Take your kids, take your dogs, enjoy the fresh air. Then some people from the rich part of town along the edges of the park decided they didn't like the noise coming from the park and pulled some bullshit to buy it out and walled it off so you couldn't go to the park unless you lived in that specific neighborhood anymore. The worst part is a ton of money was spent when they first bought it, building it up, adding fountains and children's play areas and redoing the flower beds. And then no money or attention was given to it again, and the whole place fell into disrepair. So now, even if you live in the neighborhood, you can't go there because everything is falling apart and overgrown. So the Irishals took the really nice park from everyone else and then neglected it until it became a shithole in the middle of the city. Some of the country's best racetracks have dealt with this similar thing. Track gets built out in the boonies, boonies get bought and rich folk move in, complain about track noise, sometimes gets the track shut down. Personally, I believe some sort of it was here first regarding things like parks and racetracks should exist to stop this from happening. Back in the 90s, my family moved into a development in a mountain town. The road wasn't even paved when we started building the house. For most of my formative years, it was great. There were bike paths through the woods and some bridges over the lakes, a gas station with a shitty pizza place, lakes you couldn't swim in or use motorboats on, and there would be block parties every summer. It was a middle-class development with some upper and lower middle class as well. Then the houses started to go up and the rich folks moved in. They blocked off the bike trails when they built their homes near them, complained about the usual shenanigans the adults and kids got into. Capture the flag at 9 Nope, not anymore. The coups will get called. Then they ruined the block parties by moving them to their cul-de-sac and ending them early. No 2 hamburgers cooked by drunk dads who snuck off and got stoned with the teens. No firing the cannon my granddad built. No water balloon fight. And instead of DJs, we got the joy of music from their 3 convertibles tuned to WSQ2 to WSQ. Also, the neighbors that were cool before started becoming sycophants. Oh, and they half-funded an effort to make the lakes swimmable, ruined the fishing, and never finished. So no swimming or fishing. Thrift stores. My wife and I follow a TikTok account of this guy who just goes into various thrift stores to show how absurd it is. Mug with no handle for a 1995 graduation party. $8.99 used stick of deodorant. $4.99 used birthday candles taped back up in original packaging that was sold at Dollar General, brand new for $3. You can snag those up for $4.99 at Goodwill. This YouTube video gives you a good idea of the bullshit they're doing. Oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this. It's off topic for the original post, but I feel compelled to have a rant about the current state of op shops, thrift stores. They've been ruined by ultra-fast fashion. I didn't visit an op shop for about a year during COVID, and when I revisited my old favorite shops, most were overstocked with overpriced shine crap, because the old ladies who volunteer to sort clothes don't know just how cheap and shitty it is. The op shop where I volunteer has a long list of brands they won't resell, so at least there's no sheen on the shelves, but it still gets donated and it mostly just gets thrown away. Some will be made into rags, but a lot of the fabrics are so cheap I doubt they're even good for that. So people are buying plastic clothes made by people who are almost certainly being exploited, having those clothes shipped across the planet just to try them on and realize they don't fit right. They'll never fit right. They'll never fit right. Well, fitting clothes take time and money, and then they drop them off to the op shop, which probably makes them feel like they're doing something good, but all they're doing is making someone else get rid of their trash. I used to thrift a lot and found it got ruined right when that damn Macklemore song came out. It's like he told everyone a secret. I used to be able to go thrifting and come back with like 3 new work shirts and a pair of pants for like $15. Good clothes too, some with the tag still on it. After that damn song, good luck finding my size at all. The clothes that were left were all shit, and they want $10 for a shirt now. Clothing brands. Carhartt, Dickies, Levi's, and many more. Like, why did a Dickies shoe shirt go from $15 to almost $40 in a few years? I remember not long ago, Champion was a cheap Walmart brand no one wanted. Now it's an overpriced name brand. I don't understand it. Old school ski mountains with family vibes of stoner lifties rocking to music. We always watched those silly ski patrol movies about the big corporations coming in and making them Yuppieville, and then it happened. New people bought the local mountain, and they were desperately trying to find guys to work there. Lots of people were interested until they found out there was a mandatory drug test. Imagine drug testing your ski bums in a legal state. Something tells me the policy is gone next year. Renting the overabundance of Airbnbs and $2,000 studio apartments in rural suburban places is outrageous and ruining the possibility for low-income and working-class people to have a roof over their heads. I live in New York State, and ever since COVID, all these city riches are buying up all the cheap places in the country to try and make a profit, as if they need any more money. I stopped going to professional sports because I can only afford shitty seats. Not worth the effort anymore. For a fun day out with you and a friend at an NFL game will run you around $500. Or you could watch it on your big screen TV at home, which has better play by play and angles than being at the game where you end up watching half of it on a monitor anyway. Unless I get tickets for free, I don't even bother going to sporting events anymore. Baseball is the only sport I'll go to. Can still find $5 cheap seat tickets or a $40 standing room tickets for rivalry games. Fuck basketball and football ticket. Theme parks. Gone are the days when everyone was equal and you all had to coo regardless of your income. And even until recently, some theme parks gave fast passes periodically throughout the day. Now, if you've got deep pockets, you can queue jump, making your day a little better and everyone else's a little worse. I haven't been to Disney since 2015, when they still had the free fast passes. My mum went earlier this year, and I couldn't believe it when she told me how bad the system is now, plus everything theme park related post-pandemic has been so crowded you can't even move. I wonder if it will ever be the same as before. Probably not though. Being poor. I can't even be homeless without trying to fight to a camping spot. Haha, there are rich folks camping in their Benz Sprinter in front of my apartment as I type this. Collecting in the past few years, the price of little collectibles and things of that sort have gone insanely high. Cards, action figures, you name it, just look up any sub for a hobby and you'll see people dropping your entire salary in one day. The standard of living for everyone else. Montessori schools. The method was created to be able to teach poor orphans well despite little funding. Now it's some sort of elite schooling for $20 a year. Concerts, and sporting events. Even NASCAR tickets are expensive now. Instagram. When it first launched, we were content to post grainy pics of our average-looking sandwich that we made ourselves, or a mundane selfie. The background and the angle didn't matter. Studies show that since the wealthy started sharing their lives on IG, our collective standard of living changed, and it's trickled down to our influencers, mimicking wealth down to average users. We're exposed to yacht parties, expertly organized and color-coded walk-in closets, high-end facials, and party-planned gender reveals. We're benchmarking our posts with professional photographers and videographers, elevating our expectations for everything. Edit. For those saying, just don't use it, it's influenced every aspect of society, whether you're on it or not. Collectively, society aspires to a flashier existence. Instagram has inspired new aesthetic-forward businesses like restaurants and coffee shops, tourism, home decor and types of homes, gyms and gym bodies, fashion. This underplays the hand meter had it making sure Instagram developed this way. You can't even scroll your own feed anymore without seeing shit from people you don't follow and have no interest in following. It's inescapable now. Music festivals. Used to be a bunch of hippies having a good time and doing drugs. Now it's rich kids taking selfies dressed as hippies and doing drugs. Biker rallies too. Bikers used to be poor, grizzled, war vets with a chip on their shoulder, and their bike was everything. Now it's a bunch of yuppie-ass lawyers and tech bros that ship in their Harley Davidson on a trailer and fly into the event and pretend to be tough guys for the weekend. The housing market. Once the rich find out about anything good, they wreck it for the rest of us. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, internet environment. Internet was the one I was going to go with. Back when the internet was just losers who had no other place in society, everything was cool. You knew the only people online were people who genuinely wanted to be part of the community and subculture. Then the rich people found out about it, and now it's nothing but ads, subscriptions fees, data gathering, and rich people pretending to be hip. Any hobby where there's potential profit. Now you've got dickheads like the Logan Paul ruining Pokemon cards. Not because they're into them because they like Pokemon, but because they read the stories about the rare cards and just hammered their endless piles of cash into getting everything. Same with those asshole sheiks with massive comic book collections. They don't give a fuck about comics. They just collect popular, valuable stuff. YouTuber Carl Jobst had a good video on this for vintage video games. Basically, a new grader named Water Games came out of nowhere, claimed to be the lead in the industry for rating in box games. Entirely false. Multiple others already existed, and the owner had zero history. Any game Water listed was sold by Heritage Auction House for over $1 million. You used to be able to get a new in-box Mario Bros. NES game for like 1,000 if someone was selling. Now they're millions apiece. Until they got sued. Very much a plainly obvious scam. As a side note to this, career scalpers, resellers. The fact that you can't just wait for the release day of something and remember to buy it at some point that day week, all because some asshole is going to grab 800 copies of them for their eBay storefront, where they already have the stuff up for pre-order at Aches the original misprint, is infuriating. As an example, to follow your Pokemon one, they had limited edition Pokemon sleeves. Sold a pack of 80 for like $8. They were on eBay 3 days later, $8 for a single sleeve, $640 if they sold every sleeve at that price. All off a single $8 purchase that they hoarded dozens of actual fans of the franchise out of. Absolutely disgusting. Exhibit A, Hot Wheels collectors. All sorts of shady, greedy bullshit, like opening cases at the store, picking all the rare premium ones to resell at tanks the price, and leaving the shitty ones for everyone else. Burning Man was the first thing I thought of when Mark Zuckerberg is helicoptering into stay in a billionaire camp with air-conditioned mobile homes. Burning Man has lost whatever counterculture standing it had. Yay, this one is weird. This used to be exclusive to people that really did embrace the underworld and counterculture. Then one day you couldn't if you didn't have money. You can add just about any music fest to that list too. I remember when Bonnaroo didn't have an identical lineup to Coachella every year. If you dig Burning Man, there's still Zozobra in Santa Fe, but it's been a while, so that may have gotten bought out by corporate interests as well. Cheap foods like chicharrones or tuetano. I'm from Mexico. When I was a kid, tuetano was something that were even gift in meat's market. Now they sell you a damn bone in meat price or even higher. The same with chicharron. That was really cheap to buy, but with rich people discovering how good it is, now is impossible. All places up the prices because rich people buy it at high rates and don't know what the heck they are shopping anyway. Brisket used to be a leftover cut given to the workers who figured out how to make it awesome. Now we have brisket, inflation, and rich people smoking them on their $1,500 Bluetooth-enabled pellet smoker. Cheap cuts of meat in general. Pork belly and oxtail specifically. Growing up, oxtail used to be less than $2 a pound. Now it's well over $10. 80s and 90s cars. The market is super hot right now, and all the rich guys are buying them up. Sorta like 50s and 60s cars in the 90s. This seems to be the norm once cars reach around 25 to 30 years old. People that grew up with these cars are now in their 40s and can afford to pay for them. Edit. Obviously, the car has to be desirable or somewhat rare for this to hold true. Can't just buy an early 2000s Corolla and expect it to be worth big in 20 years. Unless it's a Toyota Corolla Matrix X's. These cars are hidden gems and might be worth something in the future. Trust. Everything really. Mofos have more money than common sense and jack up the prices for the rest of us. Nerd paraphernalia like Star Wars or Marvel doc stuff, action figures, comic books, etc. used to be just a fun hobby for kids and kids. At heart now, it's almost totally purchased by richer, dedicated speculators solely for profit. Beaches, overdevelopment, they fuck it up every damn time. Rich people have ruined a lot of things in California, but one thing I love about the state is that you cannot own beaches. Every beach is public access. No trashy fences blocking off sections of private beach access, like in Florida. I have learned a few things after positing my comment. First, Florida has a similar law to California, but some resort owners abuse a loophole where they put up fences in private property and force people to pay if they want to pass through. Is this legal under Florida law? I don't know. I'm not an expert. From what Floridians are saying, this is a fairly uncommon practice. Thank you to all who replied. I learned a decent amount about beach access laws and loophole. Ultimately, I hope wherever you live, you can fight against legislation seeking to block public access to your beaches. Everyone should have the right to enjoy the coasts along this beautiful country. Aspen, Colorado, where the beer flows like wine. Change the name Aspen by public referendum to Fat City. This would prevent greedheads, land rapers, and other human jackals from capitalizing on the name Aspen. These swine should be fucked, broken, and driven across the land. Hunter S. Thompson, 1970 platform for sheriff excerpt. I think rich people ruined all mountain towns, to be honest. I left mine after 12 years, even though I had a killer rent deal because I knew it was only going to keep getting worse. Yay, it used to be a small mountain town way back in the day. Now all of Colorado is unaffordable. That's all of Colorado now. The middle class. They absolutely bodied the middle class. I wonder if I'll ever get to live the 20s that people always recommend, where you get to travel and do the shit you want to do. I wonder if I'll ever own my own place, or if I'll ever own my own place, or if I'll be stuck at home for most of my life. Formerly cool towns, Denver, Austin, Asheville, etc. Cheap and simple dishes. Ramen, tacos, sushi. Now everything's got to be labeled premium, only to taste the exact same, if not worse. I love that taco trucks charge somewhere between $1 and $20 for tacos. Food trucks used to be a way to get good food for cheap. Now it's a premium without any of the advantages of a restaurant. Not to mention that they all expect a 20 tip for handing you food from a window. My hometown, a lot of the long-time locals here are working class, and it used to have a bigger sense of community. In the recent decade, rich people have decided that it's a cute small town with pretty scenery to buy a second home to rent out to other rich people who want to visit. Many of the long-time residents here are struggling to find homes. Meanwhile, rich people who just discovered this small town can easily buy a home or rent an overpriced Airbnb. Literally disgusting here now. Are you from entire state of Maine? Bourbon. It used to be the most expensive bourbon you could find was like $100. Now, with everyone collecting, the prices have skyrocketed. The secondary market is completely insane. I remember a couple of years ago, you could walk in a Bevmo and just pick up a bottle of Blanton's, walk home, make your mint julep, and it's all good. Nowadays, it's like Blanton's is some Shangri-La of bourbon. Fucking John Wick. Housing flipping for sure, looking to potentially buy at the moment, and everything has been fitted with new grey kitchens and modern lighting, etc., which isn't my style. I may be in the minority here, but means paying way more for a house and then having the job of ripping everything out. I don't want luxury anything. I just want home. I hate when houses have that soulless hotel look. If you want turnkey, you're going to get Flipper Grey with shaker cabinets. 10 years ago, it was Flipper Beige with raised panel cabinets instead. If you want character, or really just a renovation done to your own taste, you need to go buy the shithole house pre-flip and do the work yourself. I hope you're handy and know what you're looking at to pre-diagnose potential high structural and mechanical issues too, since shithole houses aren't always just cosmetic. Why is pork shoulder and oxtail so expensive? It literally used to be the parts nobody wanted. You can thank the Food Network and Food Documentarian for that. Once people started learning how to cook them, they went nuts. We didn't have a ton of money growing up, and my mom had a How to Feed Your Family on Feed Your Family on month. Oxtail, brisket, pork shoulder, shrimp, and chicken wings all were heavily featured. Add in beef bones too. It used to be almost free. Now it's renamed beef marrow bones and cost almost as much as chicken breast. Chicken wings were cheap at one point. It started with short ribs, then went to oxtails and pork belly. Things that can taste amazing, but also take 3 forks the amount of time to slow cook before it's edible. Take a look at black cod. They started calling it sablefish, and the entire world went nuts. Thankfully, pork is still pretty inexpensive where I live, but oxtails are ridiculous now. When I was younger and much poorer, I'd get oxtails from my local butcher shop for some dirt and a wooden nickel. Don't get me started on flank steak. Rant over. Tulum, Jackson Hope, Aspen, many rural areas of Colorado, Antigua, Guatemala, Land Rover Defenders, etc. Thrifting. Thrifting is cool when it's rich people donating and poor people buying. There's a huge flea market where I live. Even just 5 years ago, you could find some really good pieces. Now it's all flipped junk or things that are insanely overpriced. Yes, it has gotten to the point in my city where I stopped thrifting altogether. I can go to a store and buy a piece of clothing, brand new, for only $5, $10 more than thrift store. I used to love rummaging, and now when I finally find the errant treasure, it's marked way up. I think it's also dependent on your locality. Everest. This is why I plan to die on 2 instead. Hey man, our gods live up there, and Sagarmatha is a holy site of pilgrimage for Buddhists. 8. I'm a climate and die. There's now simply just way more people climbing it, so it's not as adventurous or amazing as it used to be, not mentioning how crowded it might be or the litter. Climbing it used to be enough for most, but now you have to have some sort of record like youngest or thinnest or something.